Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel. Today we will be looking at different news from different news providers, showcasing about Bitcoin, discussing about other cryptocurrencies, how their price is fluctuating. Then we will look at some reports from IMF, how they look at central bank digital currencies, how they are trying to solve the current issues which are raised by the banks and solved by the fintechs. So we'll connect those and try to read articles related to Ripple and some related to the cryptocurrency in general. So first we'll actually look at the crypto market entirely. We are in red. Last 24 hours most of the cryptos crashed or dived, but yeah, it's just in 24-hour time frame, so that doesn't make much of a difference. So first we'll actually go through the news articles, and then we will come back to the charts and look how the price is actually reacting. So the first one, we will be covering this: Fidelity wins trading license in New York. That's actually a good news for Bitcoin. That's really a good news because Fidelity is established and well-reputed organization. If they have the license, the big money or smart investors will be going in. Like, they won't be going in fully. It'll be like dipping their toes in first and accumulating slowly. Now this is the tweet from Fidelity Digital Assets: like 4 elements of institutional caliber operations: audited operations, regulatory oversight, institutional account structures, risk management practices. So the article is like enabling institution to access a new medium of assets. So this is being used. Previously it was only retail investors like us who was speculating on the digital assets, but now it's the institutions and Fidelity. But I see, these are top ranked institutions. The real investors, the big investors, trust these names, so they will be feeling secure to put their money in. It won't be, as I told before, they will put millions at first. They will be buying it slowly. Now the next one is showing that crypto analysts going long on BTC at 8,000 as other cryptocurrencies is finding a crucial support. So when the author states in that manner, we will actually look at the chart, whether it is at a support level or not. So in order to understand that, I'll actually move into a 12-hour chart and try to plot the support and resistance area which the price was reflecting previously. See, this was a resistance and support area previously, and now we will be looking at the chart in 1D, and we can see, yeah, that was acting as a support and resistance previously, and this is also within the range. So for me, I actually don't believe that just the 8,000 can be a pure support, because if we draw a support resistance range, we can see that it was acting as a resistance, was acting as a support. So this should be the entire range, and if the price is coming down, for me, I think the buy area will be something near to this area, say 7,900, 7,800. So my view is a bit contrary to this writer, but anyway, this is chart analysis. It depends upon how you analyze the chart, how you plot your indicators and all. So the next one is key signal indicates that Bitcoin is bottoming as bulls defend the key level of support. So again, in my perspective, yeah, the fluctuation can still happen. The price may still visit a bit lower levels, because we were actually talking about a downward trend channel, and the price actually went even lower than that. So there is a chance that the price can retest these levels first and then revisit these levels or even lower. So that's all for that, and now we'll move on to the next one that shows: does instant messaging over Lightning Network have killer application potential? The applications like Lightning Network trying to make Bitcoin a global currency by increasing its transaction speed, increasing its ability. I believe, currently it is more or less known as a digital gold or a store of value, not a currency. So I'm not sure about this, because in order to be a currency, it should be, so accurate and secure and fast to do the transaction in seconds, right? Because there won't be like one or two transactions. If it is being used as a global currency, there will be tons of transactions in the network. And we all know that when the network is being, like a bottleneck, the transaction time increases. Say the minimum is 10 minutes and it can go up to 1 day, 2 day, I don't know, but at least to 30 minutes or 40 minutes, right? And say the minimum charge is $1. That may increase when the network is congested. So you need some digital asset which is actually specifically designed for this purpose, and that's when XRP comes into play. So I think even the gold bugs like Peter Schiff was talking like this. Yeah, we agree that this is being a store of value, but the perspective is like Bitcoin is the first one, right? So there can be another one which is coming afterwards, following that, building a better, secure kind of same thing, right? So in that aspect, I think XRP comes into the play. And now the International Monetary Fund is actually showing central banks how to design the digital currencies, what should be considered, what should not be considered. But now when we look at this came recently. At the same time, what we have to look is, looking back, they have been working on this from a long time. They were looking at the fintechs, the rise of digital money, now central bank digital currency. This came last November. So they have been working on this consistently. And they are working on that consistently because there is an issue with current banking system. If they want to transfer money, they still need to keep their funds in other countries, like the Nostro accounts. So the funds are dormant there. Now there are articles which states that there is nothing as dormant funds. So if you look at that, say go and ask to someone who is already using Ripple's technology, say MoneyGram, the working capital is being freed up and using that to enlarge their reach, and they are getting more customers, more profits. Now recently the CoinField came up stating that XRP is having much better technology than Ether. So for me, that's a good news. Anyway, XRP leveraging a Ripple product on demand liquidity eliminates two big concerns of bank. So when they say two big concerns, one is the instant transfer. You don't need much time to settle the payment. The second thing is you don't need that much capital to be put into other banks. So when you put that much amount, you have a cost, right? The capital cost. Now you have to manage that correspondent banking relationship in that aspect. And the regulatory issues comes into play at that particular time. So on-demand liquidity, formerly known as XRP, has eliminated two big concerns of volatility, regulations regarding digital assets. Now, with this rebranding of on-demand liquidity, now the volatility and regulations concerns is getting reduced. So that means the banks are gonna come in. They are already there, as we came to know from recent updates of Swell. They only announced 300 partners, but yes, they have around 600 working with them. Sooner or later it will be announced. This article shows that the price can actually dip even lower. Currently the price is somewhere around 0.24. So that article states that the price can even go below that. No, currently the price is around 0.255 according to Coin Paprika. But this analyst is actually stating that it can visit 0.22, or there is a chance that the price can actually visit those levels again. And this is, as we just saw in Coin Paprika, like Bitcoin moved below the price and now it's bouncing around that area. At the same time, the major altcoins are also going down with that. At the same time, the positive news, or the light at the end of the tunnel, is that the investors are actually confident about XRP. So this states that Grayscale shows Ripple's XRP investment trust is staying strong despite sluggish market. The market is going down, down, down. The price is not reflecting any of the achievements by the company Ripple and Ripple network, the Ripple net. But still, the investors are holding strong on that. They are coming in. Those who are already in is holding the assets. So that's actually good news for that. Now this one is showing that Facebook Pay could potentially impact Bitcoin's market. Brother, I personally don't agree with that statement because Bitcoin is considered as a decentralized asset. When Facebook is coming up with a payment option, I don't think that's completely decentralized. Now this is my opinion, my views, right? So for me, I'll say that if Facebook is actually coming up with such a thing, and they already have some issues with their customers, right? Now the governments are trying to corner them with many questions because they have a CEO to be called. But for Bitcoin, there is no one like that. It's completely decentralized. Yeah, when we look at it in that aspect, it's decentralized. But if we go into depth, we know that there are some mining pools which control majority of the coins, right? So yeah, that is not that aspect. Anyway, we'll move on. Now this one shows the wrap up of technical analysis for different currencies like BTC, XRP and Tron. So in this we can see that BTC went below the trend range, XRP went below, but Tron is actually holding there. But when they say that, for me I feel like okay, Tron is holding there, I agree, because it's at a support level and it's holding there. Now that's a positive news for Tron particularly there. Now this is the article which I stated at first, in which CoinField comes out and state that Ripple is better technology than Ethereum. So that's actually good news because these are actually real companies using Ripple's technology to solve a real problem, and they are actually coming up and opening it like we are having this issue but we are solving that right now. So that's actually a good news, right? Now we'll look at the XRP. Now this is XRP on a daily, and now we can see that the price level actually went below the existing trending range, but it actually immediately bounced back into the trading range. So this is a 1 hour chart, so the fluctuations can still happen. But looking at this area, we can see that the price was trading in this particular range, but it actually managed to get back into the trading range. That's actually a good news. Now looking at that in a 4 hour chart, we can say that still for this bullish channel upside, we are below that. So the trading range in that aspect is still bearish, because in order to be in a rally, we should be within this trading range, but we are well below that. Now if we look at it on a daily and weekly, just to understand where we are right now in a longer time frame, what we are doing, to understand what's happening. So this is a daily chart, and in this you can actually clearly see that we are getting a wick there. Now it's turning into positive one. The price actually visited a lower range, but it could not close below that area. Now it's bouncing back up high, so that doesn't mean the price will go up directly, but there is a possibility that the price may have found a bottom, because that is a range of support in a daily chart. If you see that the price was being supported in this area, and it is again getting a support in this area. So as we told last time, according to Wyckoff chart pattern, we can say that if we look at this according to that, we can say that this price level was acting as a support from a long time, and it broke below that, closed below that, and slowly moved up higher within that range. Now it is retesting that level. It's not retesting the low of the spring, whereas it is retesting the previous trading range, previous support. So that's actually a good news. If you want to get that more precisely, you can go into a weekly chart and zoom out a bit and use Wyckoff chart if you want to analyze that, compare both. In one of our previous videos we actually went through that, analyzed where we are in Wyckoff principle based on that. So now we can actually look at Ether to USD, because when the price crashes, when it's Bitcoin moving down, others are also moving down. But as we discussed on yesterday's video, there is a difference between Ether and other cryptocurrencies in the trend, right? But now the Ether actually came back down below that trading range and it's pushing up high. So like XRP, if it managed to come back into the trading range, that's actually good news. Otherwise, we are still in a bearish trend line, because as we can see that if we plot a trend line like this, we came below that, shooted up high within that, above that, came back down. If we manage to get above that, that's a good news. Otherwise, it's still a bit bearish for that. But if you look at daily and plot your bullish flag like this, it's still getting a bit bearish. It's crossing the support line. So if it is closing below this, then I'll say that's a bearish symbol for that. But if we zoom out and check where the price is at the moment, we can see that it is at a support and resistance area. So a price bounce is actually possible, because we can see that this was a resistance acting as a support. So if the price moves up from here, I think this is, or this can happen, like a rounded bottom and then move up high. Now we will look at LTC. We will directly go into the daily. We'll plot some trend lines, and then we'll look at a 4-hour chart to understand what is happening. Because for LTC, I think it's a good news actually. Say the trading range was like this, the price broke higher, now it's being retesting that area since. But at this moment the price is having a support here, which is a previous support or resistance line. Now if it manages to break from this line, it will come back into the trading range. That will be a negative news. But if it is bouncing above that area, it should be a better buying opportunity once it closes above this line, that is the price range of 64. Say the price closes above 65, that will be a buy signal for LTC. Now this is my personal opinion. I'm not a certified financial advisor. This is based on my previous experience. I'm sharing or trying to share the news updates and my personal view on charts. So if you guys like the content I'm providing, please do support the channel by subscribing to it. I'll meet you guys on my next video tomorrow morning.